Welcome to the Marketing Intern Spotlight. A marketing intern is a listener who's spreading our message authentically. Hear their story, their passion, and their journey. Enjoy.
Andrea Toppin, welcome to the Backpocket Podcast.
Thank you.
How you doing today?
Marvelous.
You got your 11-mile run in, a little short today, but we're here now.
Is
Ready?
it weird looking at two average dudes who were like in your house about a month and a half ago and asking for chairs, and now you're interviewing with them in the same chairs?
It's a little interesting. Like,
I think that's like my favorite part about
I know
the fact that we're doing this is just we needed to get chairs. We needed to get some sort of chairs for Andrew and I. And so we put on our story, like not really expecting anything. And you reached out to us and we're like, hey, I have 2 chairs I can get off you, give you guys. And they're just these beautiful floral chairs. We didn't hesitate.
They're marvelous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my mom. So I have my mom on Snapchat and she's in like 2 different groups. And so I was just laying down one day and I took a picture and now it's just my chiropractic table and then like literally nothing's over there now, which is nice. And my bookshelf, it's like my educational chiropractic treatment corner now.
It's your temple.
Yes, it is my temple. And she was like, where did the chairs go? And I was like, I sold them. She's like, Andrea, Jean. And I was like, I wasn't using them. Like, I'm trying to be a minimalist here. I'm going to be moving soon. Well, not soon, but like in a year and a half, I'm going to move for my final internship and then hopefully live where I move. But she was like, what did you, I was like, I sold them to these podcast guys. And she's like, what? And like at first she was really mad. And then I told her about the thing today. And she's like, she listened to like some of your podcasts. She's like, these guys are hilarious. I love it. Thank you for selling your chairs to them.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Our market of just our friends' moms or parents is just incredible.
It's bottomless.
It's bottomless.
It's
Bottomless. Good call.
Awesome. Okay, so we got to know you through, which is a crazy story. Our good friend Mark, who's on the podcast, is in chiropractic school at Northwestern, and one of his friends connected the Instagram. Is that kind of how this?
Yeah, Carly Nye.
Carly Nye.
The wonderful Carly Nye.
Yes. She connected you to our page because we posted on Instagram, and then we came over and purchased these chairs, which has been incredible. And that's how we got to know you. But our marketing interns, our listeners, don't necessarily know you.
Yeah.
So if you could give our listeners a little bit of a background on your story and how you got into chiropractic school and also the running as well.
Okay.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
Yes.
But it's okay. I'll try to
We'll help you through it.
paraphrase it all. So hi, I'm Andrea Toppin. Currently halfway through chiropractic school right now. Also, my side gig is running, and I'm training for the Marathon Olympic trials, which is literally a year from now in Atlanta, Georgia. So I guess that's me. But how I got into chiropractic. So originally I wanted to be a PT. Originally I wanted to be an athletic trainer, but I couldn't do that with running collegiately.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I'll be a PT, and I started shadowing PTs, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm glad I'm going to be a PT. And then, so I applied to PT school 2 years in a row. First year I didn't get in. It's really competitive to get into PT school. It's like ridiculous. It's like, it's harder to get into PT school, but it's easier to stay. Whereas like chiropractic school, it's easier to get in, harder to stay. Like I've had like probably not half my class, but like we started with like 150 and now maybe 60. People say 180 and I'm just like, I don't think it was that many people, guys. And we're down to like 110.
Wow.
Yeah. And so
Weeds them out fast, huh?
yeah. Especially in the try that Mark's in. T2. That'll get you.
Mm-hmm.
But
What is it about that, just real quick, on why it's...
So T1, so it's just it's the credit jump, and then just a lot of tests all the time. Like I swear the first 2-3 weeks aren't that bad, and then it's just literally like 3 to 4 tests a week, bang 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 bang. You don't have midterms. You do have finals, and finals for T2 is pretty Interesting.
Dang.
Yeah, like I just became numb to exams. Like I was like, Mom, I'm immune to tests right now, and I like was just I don't know. I remember I was just going nuts, but I was fine. I was good.
Dang.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd you go to college?
Iowa State.
Nice.
So yeah,
Go
And you
Cyclones.
ran there?
I ran there for 5 years technically. I took a redshirt year my freshman year, and it was a great experience. I was a part of like 4 Big 12 championships,
Holy cow.
team championships, and then I was on 2 different like national teams, so NCAAs for cross. And I could have been more, but I had a lot of injuries, unfortunately, and that's kind of what got me into chiropractic school. Like I was seeing a physical therapist for a while, and I was very inspired by her. She literally was basically like my second mom. But then the athletic trainers found out, and they got mad, and they kind of have like the athletic trainers and physical therapists. It depends who you're working with, but our athletic trainers hated when we would go see physical therapists, like out of the realm. Just because of like insurance purposes, because I was under Iowa State's insurance, and just like liability reasons. And so if they did something, then the athletic trainers could get in trouble because I'm technically under their care.
Okay.
So anyways, they had this partnership with this chiropractor my final year. And at that point, I was going to reapply to PT school anyways. But anyways, I saw the chiropractor, and I was having a lot of, like it was like Achilles tendonitis from hell. And it just wouldn't go away. And I got the PRP shot, which is plasma-rich platelet cells. And so basically they took my blood and then injected that blood into, like they centrifuged it, made it plasma. And they injected it into my Achilles tendon sheath. And
Really?
Yeah.
And then those like plasma cells help regenerate.
Yeah,
the cells
basically
around
it restarts, revamps, speeds up the inflammatory healing process.
Yep.
And that wasn't even working. But the ankle is really not good blood supply. So anyways, I saw a chiropractor. He did dry needling on it, and he did some ankle adjustments, and just it was amazing, the recovery process. And
I've done that, the dry needling for my ankle. That's how I healed I had an awful ankle sprain.
Yeah.
And that's how that saved it. Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. So basically, I just loved the aspect of a chiropractor. Like basically, they can be a PT. You can be anything you want as a chiropractor. You can have so many different philosophies. But basically, I couldn't get into PT school. My brother was like, I think it was my second year trying, and I applied to like so many PT schools. It was ridiculous. And I got on like 3 waiting lists. There was a school in like LA that was going to accept me, but I didn't want to live in LA, and they weren't accredited. And I was like, screw it. So I basically just kind of gave up my dream and was like, visited 3 different chiropractic schools, one in Portland, one here, and one in St. Louis. And I just loved the one here. I loved the sports medicine program that they have, or sports exercise, and the Human Performance Center. And I just loved the faculty and just kind of the students in general. But yeah, I have been seeing a chiropractor for I didn't see a chiropractor till I was like 21, but I've been seeing one consistently throughout my training cycle currently, and I've been healthy for 3 years consecutively, knock on wood.
Yeah.
But
That's
like
incredible.
yeah, because my entire nervous system is basically recalibrated, aligned every time I get adjusted. And they're not only working on that, they're doing muscle work. They're doing relaxation, like I get massages, not by the chiropractors, but by their therapists, massage therapists, or, they can do modalities as well, and just kind of like bringing that together. So that's just what I love about chiropractic. You can do so much with it. And I feel like patients have such a quick recovery turnover. And it's not just like, I feel like the patients that come into a chiropractor, they want to be there. They want to live like a healthier lifestyle. And I'm not trying to diss PT at all. So any of you guys that are PTs out there. But I feel like the patients that go into a PT or like outpatient, inpatient, whatever, it's usually because of doctor's orders. And it's like post knee surgery and all that
mandated
stuff.
recovery.
Yeah, and it's like they're only there for like 8 weeks, or like people don't go out and do their exercises. It's all about like exercises and doing that, which I love the rehabilitation part of PT. That was what I stood for, well, and still stand for. But I'm just now a year and a half into chiropractic school. I'm just seeing like the real beauty of chiropractic and what it does for people. Like it can move patients to tears just by one simple adjustment. Like this one guy, I went to Grand Rounds this week, and he literally just, which is just basically we do cases with Dr. Stark, and he's the Human Performance Center director guy. He's amazing. He got Sports Chiropractor of the Year like a year ago. He's an amazing guy. But
We'll have him on the podcast.
oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that'll be Dr. Stark.
Okay.
I'll tell him. I'll make sure to tell him.
Write that down, so.
But so a T7 intern basically, or T8, I don't know what he is. He adjusted this lady's fibular head, and all of like her knee pain, literally that she's been having for years and years and years, and just excruciating pain, just all went away, and just by that simple adjustment. I mean, I'm not saying that he like saved her life, but it's just it's just realigning the body where it's supposed to be, and then it can just function at its basically maximal, you know, like it just
Optimal.
optimal. Words are hard for me today.
No, you're good.
But yeah, so that's my story.
It's really cool too how you found your passion with chiropractic. This whole industry, I was kind of naive to the whole industry. I used it a ton. I had Osgood Schlatters when I was in 7th grade, and I saw a chiropractor during that time to help me with that because I didn't want to stop playing sports, and I was running cross country and playing football at the same time. So like I was just in so much pain, and the chiropractor helped me a ton there. And then in high school I had a bunch of other various injuries, and I saw another one. But that's the only, like, I've only just interacted with him as a patient. But when we had Dr. Matt Wiest on this past October.
He's super cool. I want to actually, like, shadow him and meet him.
Yes.
And
You need to.
everything.
We'll put you in touch.
Yeah.
Please.
Just the coolest man, and just hearing his story and how he respects this industry opened my eyes to a whole new light. And then now I work as a proctor for the...
Oh, yeah.
for
We work.
Yeah,
He's my boss.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys again in about a month-ish. That's
April 6th.
terrifying.
Mhm.
Part 1 boards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to actually start studying for that.
I don't know how much I could say because of HIPAA and stuff. You know, I'm up there in the chain.
Yeah, he is.
but I'm a proctor.
Boss,
And
hey, quiet up, boss.
Yeah,
Can't say
quiet.
nothing.
Yes, can't say nothing. But learning more through that of just kind of walking through everyone through the exams, and then continuing to interact with Mark and hearing how he is handling this whole situation, because everyone knows how Mark was in school. He wasn't a bad student by any means, but he got by and he did his thing. But his level of intention now in chiropractic school is through the roof, and he's so dedicated to it because you need that dedication to get through it. It's been awesome hearing that. So hearing your story also is really cool.
I was very similar to Mark. I was a good student in college, but I definitely, because he played football, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I definitely I just was like, yep, B's are good. B's cool. I would get A's occasionally, and I get C or 2, and I'd be like, that's fine, cool. I mean, grades don't matter in grad school either. So like C's get degrees.
Mm-hmm.
C's for chiropractic. D is for D. C. Yeah. Anyways, but I was the same way. Like I was very much into my running, and if school was gonna conflict with running, I would usually pick running, or I just, I'm like, I understand the concept they're trying to tell me, cool, but like, yeah, you have to be all in. You don't have to really worry about grades. It's just more like understanding the concept, so you can apply that to boards, and you can apply that to real life, and you can apply that to clinic.
Mm-hmm.
It's super necessary.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think that's really cool. How did you get involved in like your passion for running? Because it was pretty obvious, like just what you're saying. You were passionate about it, and you wanted that to be, the majority of what you were spending time on.
Mm-hmm.
So where did that all come from?
So that stems way back. So first, running just kind of started off for me as like competition. Elementary school, we would have, well, even before that, like apparently in daycare, my mom told me that I would like try to beat all the boys all the time. I don't really remember that, but that followed into elementary school, and we would have like one track meet a year, is like for PE, and it was like the biggest event of the year, and like all the parents in the community would come watch us. I think it was called like TJ Relays or something like that.
Damn.
And I would either get second or third, but I would usually, as I moved up, I think it was like 4th grade was when I like came out of my shell, and I was like, I would win everything. And from like 4th grade, this went to 6th grade, I would win all the running events, like the 400, the 200, the 100, I don't know, but I'd win them all. And everyone's like, back then they're like, you're going to the Olympics. And I'm like, what? It's elementary school. I'm 10.
Chill out, Mom.
I'm 10. So then I got into junior high, and I wanted to play volleyball, but everyone, like the volleyball coach was even like, you shouldn't be here. You should be in cross country. And so I was like, fine. But I wanted to be like the rest of my friends and play volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
So I did cross country, and I didn't win everything, but I got like second. I would try to get in the top 10. Like that was pretty good. And then in track, kind of the same thing. I would just get second, third, whatever. But everyone was like, you're going to be so amazing when you grow up. And I'm like, I just like the competition. I just like to beat people. And then at like 8th grade is when I started like dreaming, like, okay, I want to run for Iowa State, because at the time they had like this amazing woman. She kind of had my story, where she was very underdeveloped runner, and she went on to win like multiple NCAA titles, so national titles in track. I think the 10K, 5K. She was All-American in cross, which is amazing because...
What's her name, by the way?
Her name's Lisa Cole. She's kind of she went on to run in Portland for Nike for a bit, and then she moved back to Iowa to Ames and was our volunteer assistant coach at the time. And now it's Lisa Ewell. She's married. But now she just resides in Ames, and she's a veterinarian now. But she's an amazing woman. She doesn't run professionally anymore. But yeah, she trained with the big dogs like Shalane Flanagan, who's one of the like probably most famous American marathon runners right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if she'll be at the trials, but she might be.
But you saw this woman as like the epitome of like
she
what
was
you
my
wanted to become.
inspiration. Yeah. I didn't love running at that moment. Like it wasn't a passion. Again, it was just competitive.
Yeah.
And then high school, again, it was just competitive, but I just wanted to run Division I. I got a lot of different offers, D3, D2, D1, and I almost ended up going to, I looked at St. Thomas actually, but I it was between like UNI, so University of Northern Iowa, this school in Chicago that's called Loyola, so nothing like.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And then I really wanted to get out of Iowa. I'm originally from Iowa.
Okay. And
I'm just not a huge fan of it. It's just not my thing. And I was like, I just want to get out. But in the end, I just picked Iowa State. I almost went to Wartburg, which is a D3 school as well.
Yeah, we played them in football.
Yep, they're really they're good. But
They're
you
good
guys
program.
are really good as well. So
Hey, thanks.
yeah, no problem. So yeah, I ended up committing to Iowa State, and that was a kind of a shell shock. That's where I started to learn to love running, because it was really hard to be competitive right away. I went from being a big fish in a small pond to little fish in a huge, ginormous pond, and just acclimating to school. And I went from like kind of being the good girl through high school to like going to college and being like, wow, this is fun. You can party and stuff. Like this like, and Iowa State's just a huge party school.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in my grade per se, in my class, like we all went out a lot too. So that I was like definitely redshirting. Like my coach at the time, Coach Immels, was like, yeah, you're redshirting. And I went to like the smallest school in Iowa ever. So like it's not even a school anymore. So yeah, it
what
was
happened? Just not enough people.
Merged.
We merged whole grade sharing, and then we consolidated.
Okay.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So you're at Iowa State, and it's a little overwhelming because there's a bunch of different things drawing you around. And you were kind of talking to us offline how in high school you didn't necessarily need to run that much outside of the meets. to do well. You were saying how
Yeah.
you could run 15, 20 miles, and the other girls were running 70 miles in a week.
Yeah.
And you could keep up with them.
Yeah.
But then you got to Iowa State, and it was a little different.
Yeah.
So kind of walk me through that whole experience.
Okay, so high school is more like talent overrides hard work.
Sure.
Depending on what class you are. So like I was class 1A. So like obviously talent would override everything. But if you're class 4A, then it's like, okay, you need to run like 70 miles. Well, not 70, but like
And those are the bigger
50,
schools.
60.
Bigger talent
Yeah.
pool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So went to Iowa State, and I remember like that summer going into Iowa State, my coach like gave me my mileage. We talked about it on the phone, and he was like, here's like, we're going to build up to a 90-minute long run. And I'm like, say what? Like 12 miles. I have maybe maxed out at like 8, or I mean, yeah, I would just do like my biggest runs were like 4-mile runs, and then eventually like occasionally I'd do like 10 milers. So then I went from like 15, 20 miles a week to 45 miles a week. And then by the end of my freshman year was like 50, 55. But yeah, the first semester was just like, I did like a 5K, the 5K or a 6K, both of them like in a cross race, and it was just kind of like a shit show for me. I was like, wow, I need to get it together. So the second semester of my freshman year, I was like, okay, next year I'm not going to be redshirting. Like I'm going to be contributing to the team, and I want to be like, our team is deep. And I was like, I want to be able to say I'm contributing to something bigger than myself on like one of the best teams in the nation, because we were amazing. And so that second year, got it together. I ended up running 70 miles a week, which is kind of my training load now.
Wow. And that's like, I mean, doing the math, that's 10 miles a day every day.
Yeah, like average wise. I would double. So like I would do, smaller loads some days, and it just kind of depended, like if you had a workout that day, like how much mileage was in your workout. So it wasn't necessarily 10 miles every day. Like I think I would double on Mondays, like do like an 8 and a 4, so that's 12.
Yeah.
And then the next day would be 9, and then the next day would be 10, and then the next day would be another double of 8 and 4. And then like on the weekends, or like the recovery day after my long run, it would be like 5 miles, and it would just be like, or it would be off.
Yeah,
sure.
So
that's crazy to think a recovery run is
5 miles.
still 5 miles.
Blows my mind.
I think the most I've ever ran is 5.
Absolutely.
that was me in high school. So
Yeah.
it's totally fine.
And how
Yeah.
long are the runs in college? Or is it like the races?
The races. So for cross country, the women currently run 6K, which is like 3.7 miles, and the men do a 10K. It kind of sucks for them. They're literally doing 8K, which is like 5 miles, the whole season. And then at regionals, they go to 10K. I believe that's still how it is, but
And you guys were 6K the whole way?
the whole way. Yeah.
Okay.
And
That
a lot
sucks.
of controversy is like, why can't the women run 10K as well? Like da 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 da. And I think they do 6K. Yeah, I mean, but it's the same for the men. Like, it's just a lot of, I think we have more middle distance people running cross than men, but I mean, it's the same. Because if you think about it, cross country, to be All-American at cross country is amazing, and that's why they busted out to like 40 versus like 8 in track. So 40 men get All-American, because it's literally everyone from every like middle distance all the way to like 10K from track, all coming together,
competing for one spot.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. So that's like nationals is kind of like a zoo. Like, oh, like, I remember lining up my first time and just being like, my heart was just like, oh my gosh. Like,
And when was the first time that you were in nationals?
It was fall 2013. I didn't make it on the team my first year, like not redshirting.
Okay.
Kind of had some hamstring issues, and it was just kind of a mental mess too. I was really fit, but I just couldn't put the pieces together, and so I didn't make the national team, but I ended up doing really well in track that year.
And what events did you run there?
In track, I ran indoors. I ran 3K. I guess I never ran a 5K, but I was a 5K indoors. I did outdoors. So I would say 3.
How was that on your shins in indoor season? That's not easy. They make you run 3K and 6. What would you say, 3 and 5K?
So indoor goes up to 5K max.
Okay.
Yeah. I never ran a 5K indoors, but yeah, I did 3Ks in the mile.
Even when I ran like the 400 in indoor season in high school, my shins would be just beat to shreds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just brutal.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, so you ran 3K and 5K. And you didn't run the 5K in indoor, but an outdoor you did?
Outdoor I did, and then I did the 3K steeplechase. So
That's
was
badass.
I loved that. I love that event so much. I wish I was like actually fast enough right now to race it, but it's the girls now are just super speedy. Like they're insane. They're running like 9:20 something, 9:30s, 9:40s, 9:50s, and
What was that like the first time you ran a steeple race? Like that blows my mind.
well,
That's
What is
even
a
a
steeple
race.
race?
When it's got the hurdles with the water.
What?
so
The purpose of that, like, explain to me like why they need to have a race with, like, water, like after a hurdle.
so
Is that history or like?
it is, but I don't know if I can explain it correctly. My understanding originates from horses. Obviously, the steeplechase. I don't know the exact history about it.
How tall is it off the ground? Do you know?
It's the same
Sam, you
as
want to look that up?
yeah, it's the same as what the women race. It's like 33 something inches.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
And what's
I
crazy
don't
is
know.
it's flat on the top, so you can step on it
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like launch yourself off it,
Yeah,
or you can jump over it. But the technique is to jump off of it.
yeah.
Correct?
So I can explain it really quick. So it's 7.5-ish laps. So the first two, you start on that back side.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen a 3K. And then you, like outdoors, the first 200's flat. And then after that, it's just 7 laps of like 4 barriers. We call them barriers, not hurdles, but
Okay.
basically hurdles.
Mm-hmm.
They're just longer.
Yeah.
4 of them per lap. And then there's 1 water jump per lap. And so
Wait, so the water jump, you jump over water?
you can, but you should probably, it's more getting the momentum before, and then people think you push off of it, but it's more just like a step. Like if you're really good at it, it's more of like kind of like a tap and then just
Okay.
launching. And you do launch yourself off of it, but it's really the momentum going into it and just not losing that and not stuttering beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
For a male, for a men race, it's 36 inches
High.
high, the
Yeah.
barrier,
Mm-hmm.
and then for women it's 30 inches.
Okay.
30,
okay.
yeah.
And it's by the giant jumbotron at St. Thomas.
Yeah.
Like that area. That's where, you know how we always had to
Oh.
field those PAT kicks because that was in the way.
Yeah. Oh.
Barrier is wide.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Wow.
Wow. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Mhm.
Like it's a
So
Wow.
Yeah.
walk me through your first time running that, because that's just a completely different type
Yeah.
of run.
So the first time I ran that was a sophomore in college, and I just remember on my recruiting visit, my coach was like, "You'd be a good steepler because you do basketball, you did volleyball, I did everything."
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "You're built like one, you're strong, da 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 da." And so I was like, "I'm gonna do it." And so the first one was in Iowa. I was at Drake. I don't know if you've ever heard
Yeah,
of the Drake
I
Stadium,
visited
like
it.
the Drake relays.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So it was there, and it was 33 or 36 degrees, and so it was pretty chilly, and it was windy, and they had to break the ice on the water pit, and so I was like, "This is great," and I'm in like buns and a the typical running uniform. And I
Yeah.
think I put like arm sleeves on. I can't remember. And then I had a headband and gloves, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. And just like that little Nike skimpy gloves. So,
Yeah.
we're not talking much right here.
Right.
And so the first time it was just kind of like, I was super nervous because I'd been practicing hurdles and just the water pit into like a sandbox, like the long jump pit. Because majority of my training for that had to be indoors. I think I practiced once on the outdoor track beforehand. So I was
Wow.
like, crap, like the water jump, the actual one.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I don't know. And so I just remember like, you can't really think. That's what I love about the race is like, you have to it forces you to get out of your head because you literally have obstacles the entire way. Like every 100 meters, you have something to worry about. You're like, I have to get over that. And then the race just goes by super fast. I mean, it's different than like if I'm running a 5K. I feel like a lot of people say the pain is worse, but I think because my mind is so distracted by the constant barriers that I don't really think about the pain. Like I'm just like, I feel pain, but
This obstacle's more
gotta
important.
worry about these things in front of me. I'm not falling. So I think one time, so I ran it at Big 12s twice. And so I or 3 times. And I ran it my first time. My friend and I, the other girl that was racing it, we went out and led the thing. And I was like, why are we leading this right now? There are like all Americans in the field. Like, what? I think our coach was going to kill us. But we ended up doing well anyways. But yeah, so there was one lap where I was like, my footing's off, crap, I'm gonna hit the like water pit barrier. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I literally and it's really hard to just hurdle it. And I literally was just like, I don't know, I felt like someone was just taking me. I hurdled it, but I felt like someone just literally took me up and like an angel or something, like just carried me over it. And I got over it and I was like, what? Like,
then you got to keep going.
Yeah.
Next obstacle.
Yeah. So, I mean, and not all of the barriers are like beautifully jumped, but it's more about, because you can't jump them too high because you don't want to lose that energy either.
That's when the tapping comes into place.
Yeah. Or just on like the regular barriers, you just don't want to like hurdle it too high. Like a lot of people will just be like, oh, hurdle, but it's more like a straight hurdle.
Direct, not trying to waste a lot of energy. Keep the momentum
and
going.
You have to like kind of get your steps down. I mean, it's not like hurdling where you're like 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, but it's, you should be able to attack it like, I don't know, so many inches out, and you just kind of practice that in your head and get that muscle memory, and that's what the drills are for.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now you're doing like marathons,
yes,
longer distance stuff.
Yes.
How's that been going?
It's a change.
Yeah, it's totally different.
I never thought I'd actually run a marathon. In college, everyone was like, "Are you gonna run marathons like after school?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not." I'm like, I'm just probably gonna train because it's like a part of my life. Not train, but just run because it's been a part of my lifestyle for so long.
Yeah.
And so when I took a gap year after Iowa State and was like applying to PT and chiro schools, I lived up here with one of my former teammates. And she runs professionally up here, and she's going to the Olympic trials in the marathon as well. She's actually really, really good.
What's her name?
Katie Moen. Oh, well, now it's Katie German because she's married to my other friend that lives up here, and he's one of my best friends as well. He's actually like my coach.
Wow.
So we all went to Iowa State, and I lived with Katie for like a year, and then Tyler moved up here, and then they eventually got married like this past summer, and he moved from Flagstaff, Arizona.
Dang.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big leap.
So he was the one that kind of like, well, she got me into road races and competing more because I was just kind of like training, and she's like, you should do like the US 10-mile championships, which is here like during the TC10. And so I did that, and I was like, so Andrea, after basically my last race in college, it was just like, I just turned into party Andrea. Like, I was like, I don't care. I never got to party in college because we literally are training all the time. We have like 2-week breaks a year. So essentially I got 4 weeks off. And
Damn.
so, and like our coaches were very strict on like, you can't drink, yada, yada, yada. And so, yeah, I wasn't really in like the greatest shape. So I went out there and I did it, and it was awesome. But there was like amazing people like in the field. I don't know if you guys have heard of like, probably not, like Jordan Hesse. She's like a big, or like, do you remember there was a triathlete woman, her name's Gwen Jorgensen, and she was from Minneapolis, and she won the gold medal in the Rio 2016 Olympics, and now she moved out to Portland, and she has a kid and everything, and she's training full time for the marathon now. She's like totally, but she was in that race too, and I just remember being like, oh, there's all these pros that are like literally 10 times better than me, and I'm just like just out here.
But you get to compete. That's sick.
Yeah. And so that first year, I was just kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I went back, and Tyler moved here, and I came back from a 12-mile run, because at one point we all lived together. And I came back from a 12-mile run, and he's like, Toppin, like, what are you training for? And I'm like, nothing. Just literally, he's like, why are you? I'm like, yeah, I don't know why I'm running. Like, it's just literally because I've been doing this for 5 years of my life, like.
It's natural.
I'm just like, it's just kind of a way I clear my head and center myself and meditate. And it's just kind of like my Sunday jog or my Sunday whatever. And so he was like, well, you should train for like a half marathon. I'm doing the one, it's called the Dam to Dam, and it's in Des Moines. So I signed up for that, and I got into the elite field, and I was like, I won't even get into the top 10. Like, I was still party Andrea. Like, I wasn't really
And Party Andrea is not a bad person.
No,
sounds
no,
like
she's an
sounds like
awesome
Party
person.
sounds like Party Andrea sounds like someone we can hang out with a lot.
She's pretty cool.
Yeah, we should get Party Andrea on the podcast.
I'm semi-Party Andrea now, but now and then.
Hey, you partied with us last week.
Yeah, exactly.
Party
Like,
Andrea's
that's-
cool.
Yeah, right?
We had a blast.
Yeah, we did. So I ended up running that, and I just kind of like, I don't know, I just had fun with it, and I ended up getting 5th and like winning $700, and I was like, well, okay. And then after that, I was like, Tyler's like, you should do the marathon. You'd be so strong on it. And he's been trying to convince me for like so many months to do it. And I was like, fine. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to qualify for Boston, like, which that's, I think you have to run like a 3:30 or so, like 3 hours, 30 minutes. So I was like, I just want to do that. And he's like, Toppin, you can do like the Olympic trials. And I'm like, what? That's like, what is that? 2:45? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm not that serious about running. Like, I just, and so I was like, I think throughout the first training cycle we had together, I just said, I'm just going to try to break 3 because, again, I was full-time Party Andrea. And I was also I thought, like, I was just going into chiropractic school. So it was like the summer before I was like becoming a T1. And I was just like, I don't think I can really double, have this
Balance.
this Hannah Montana lifestyle. Like, I just really want to be a good chiropractor. I don't want to have that double lifestyle that I had in college where I was just half-ass for school. I wanted to be an amazing chiropractor. But so I trained for my first marathon, and it was pretty good, but I literally hit none of my splits in my workouts, nothing. And so going into I did the Twin Cities Marathon, and I was in the elite field, and I was like, this is going to be ugly. Literally, I've hit nothing. I've done all my long runs, but they've been super slow. I don't know how this is going to go. So I get up to the line, and I think my first mile was pretty fast, but I was doing pretty well. And I actually ran some of it. One of my college teammates was trying to break the world record for running a marathon under, I think it was like 2:45 or something, in a business suit. And so I ran with him.
Do you have a briefcase next to him too, and his resume in the other hand?
Didn't, but people, I think this one guy had one, and he like handed it to him. Like, we got so many comments, but he ended up he finished, but by the end of it, he was running like 10-minute mile pace because it was just, he got it like custom made, like dry fit and everything. But still, it was just so heavy.
Yeah. You're sweating.
Yeah. So I think we were running together until like he was going super fast, and so I kind of dropped off a little, and I was like, he'll come back around. Like, I was already way above my pace, and I could hear like Tyler in my head, like, damn it, Toppin. like
Keep going.
Like, just get it. So I dropped off him, but then by mile 14, I caught him, and he was just dead. And I was like, how we doing, Steve? And he's like,
this stinks.
Yeah. So I think like mile 18, my legs just kind of fell off. Aerobically, I was fine. And then once I got to Summit, Summit sucks because it's literally just a gradual uphill hill for 5 miles. But at the same time, I was like hallelujah, because I was like, I only have 5 miles left, basically.
Right.
And so, yeah, I was like, there's no way I'm going to break 3 today. And then I was kind of calculated it in my head, midway through Summit, and I was like, wow, I think I'll run 2:55. Like, and that's pretty good for like your first marathon, not training very well at all. And the last mile, just because you're running so long, I remember I started to get like really emotional just because just completing a marathon in itself is a huge deal. You're literally running straight or doing whatever you're doing straight for 26.2 miles. It's a big journey, mentally, physically, everything. And so I kind of like started crying, and I was like, get it together, Andrea. And I remember like coasting down the hill to the finish and seeing like 2:52, and I was like, what? And then I finished, and I couldn't walk past then, but I was 10th overall in the women, and I ended up winning money and whatnot. And so I think I was the youngest female finisher, so that was really cool. And from that point, I was like, Tyler didn't expect me to finish that fast, and he was like, dude, you're natural at this distance, and you weren't even training like full out. And I was like, wow. And then I kind of created a timeline in my head. I was like, okay, I'm going to qualify for the Olympic trials, and then I run the Olympic trials in 2020. I'll be like basically a full-time clinical intern.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll be adjusting really well. I can reach out, I can network to different chiropractors that are at the trials and just like show them like, hey, I'm literally the Hannah Montana of chiropractic. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Know
hire
your brand.
me.
Know your
Hire
brand,
me.
yeah.
Like, and I want to move out west and all that stuff, and I want to work with elite runners, and so yeah, I just was like, this is my plan. And honestly, like, I think Tyler said something to me, because there was kind of a time where, yeah, in T2, I was like, I don't want to do this whole marathon thing anymore. And he was like, okay. And then he said, you know, practice what you preach, you know, and basically, you know, being a role model for my future patients was what kind of like inspired me to like take on that Olympic trials like goal. And then also there was a nurse. So the Boston Marathon, when I actually decided to pursue and actually pursue the trials, was when I watched the Boston Marathon in 2018. Awful conditions, literally like 40-mile-per-hour winds and like gusts of 50, 60, and sleet, snow. It was bad.
Wow.
There was pros, like elite pros dropping out. I think Des Linden, she was like the first American woman to win it in like 40 years. So that was a huge deal. And she was the biggest pro there, that finished in like the top 10 or top 5. But like Shalane Flanagan, who won the New York Marathon, which was a huge deal, and she's won so many wonderful things and medals in the Olympics. She, I think, ended up getting like 10th or something. And
Wow.
like Molly Huddle, there was just a lot of like amazing elites that were there that weren't doing as well. But like people that were in the elite field. So kind of like, her name's Sarah, I can't remember. But
Like lower tier people, is what
yeah,
you're saying?
basically like
Yeah.
sub-elites like me.
Sure.
She was a full-time nurse, and she ended up getting second, and she didn't even know.
Wow.
Yeah, she didn't even know she was in second when she finished. And so I watched that, and I was just like, wow, she's a full-time nurse, probably doing twice as much as me. You know, I'm a full-time chiropractic student, just got done with my second trimester of school, going into my third, and I'm just like, you know what? I can do this. Like, I can do this. And so that was my biggest inspiration. And then what my coach Tyler was saying, you know, like, practice what you preach. Like, basically, like, I want to be a role model for my patients and for anyone out there that needs my help. And just not even for my patients, like for females that are in graduate school all around the nation. Because once I qualified for the trials, like, I had so many, well, not so many, but more women DM. Okay, that sounds kind of weird.
No, it's awesome.
Women
Sick.
DMing me,
Yeah.
but like, and not even women, but like people all around from grad school was like, you're so inspiring that you can do this, that you can like set the time and like qualify for the Olympic trials and the marathon as a full-time doctor of chiropractic student. And so
It's amazing.
It's badass.
that was my, that was, that was my inspiration. And my younger brother, he's in Mark's tri as well. And he also is like a big inspiration for me as well. Like, he'll say
Sick.
little things to me. And
I think one
Yeah.
thing that I just love about that story is, like, you were so unsure of it from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, you weren't confident in it.
Yeah.
You still ran without confidence at the beginning.
yeah,
And one thing that you did do is you attacked everything as Andrea, but you also attacked it, you know, with just taking the opportunity. Like,
Yep.
you didn't just say no and worry about the regret later. You just
Yeah.
said, yeah,
yeah.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
And look at this awesome opportunity you have now going to the Olympic trials, and now you're using that to help you out with your chiropractic
Mhm.
school.
Yeah.
And that was something that you probably never even thought of.
Yeah. No.
So good work.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
The
man.
old 2-for-1.
The old 2-for-1.
2 for 1.
And we know a lot about that.
Growth and development.
And development.
Here on the
2-for-1.
Back Podcast. And one thing that we grow and develop is through our average quality.
Mm.
And this is something that we do well at times and other times not so well.
Yeah.
And it's one of our favorite questions to ask. So, Andrea, what is your average quality?
I don't even know, to be honest. I can make a mean mac and cheese.
Okay.
Right on.
And that stems from, is it a lot of shredded cheese or
Kraft mac and cheese.
Started with Kraft, yeah.
Velveeta.
Velveeta, liquid
Yeah.
gold?
Velveeta, but I don't really put that in it anymore. It's more like just kind of natural American cheese.
Dude, I think I'm gonna get Noodles and Company after this.
Yeah.
Fires me up.
Yes.
You know, they have been saying a lot of the rumors have been circling around. They actually call me Decky Cheese.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you knew that. Yeah.
Really?
So you know,
He's the
it's,
cheese man.
yeah, I'm the cheese man, and it's weird. It's it's given to me, so you have to kind of accept it. And man, I'm interested. Put it that way.
Yeah.
I would love to learn more about this mac and cheese.
Tremendous
yeah.
response.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good work. But that's your average quality. You're like average at making mac and cheese, or that's just like like you would never expect this. I love making mac and cheese.
I mean,
and that's average.
it's just my favorite food of all time since
Hell
I
yeah.
was like 6, maybe
Oh, yeah.
3. I don't know, but
Is it good to have before runs?
yeah, good carbohydrates.
Really?
I couldn't eat that. My stomach would be all wonky. I'm
Yeah,
I'm
it's
lactose sensitive.
Yeah. Yeah, you have problems with it. And like we don't need to everyone knows it.
Yeah, we've addressed it.
We've addressed it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we got to work on it. I have a question for you though. Just an average guy over here, Declan, wants to run a marathon. Let's say that's something like on my bucket list, or maybe
Yep.
a half marathon.
yeah.
How do you get like just a hunk like me to like? What do I have to do for training, or what's like the first step I need to do to accomplish it?
Okay, so the first step would be kind of like, what do you want your time to be, or like why do you want to do it? Like your passion for doing it.
Maybe what kind of shoes is he going to be wearing?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think-
we'll get to the technical part soon.
And I don't really care about the shoes necessarily, but I like challenging myself.
Yeah.
And I used to hate running. And
Yeah.
so my challenge last summer was, okay, get outside and run and see what happens. And
Yep.
so I killed myself for like a month in May
Yep.
just to go on runs. And then I ended up really liking it, and then would start going on runs like at least a couple times a week.
And he was also like 230.
I was not 230. and that everyone knows that I was not 230. But
right.
I was hefty. I was a hunk, dude. I was like 210. And I went on runs and I ate less. And I lost like 25 pounds. Like
Yeah.
the feeble guy you're seeing today was not who I was a year ago, or a little over a year ago,
Yeah.
which is nuts. But
You've fallen in love with running. you'd
I
say?
like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun. So I probably would want to run a half. At
What would
some
be a
point.
good time for him to hit for
Yeah.
like what is like your marks? Like every 3 miles you want to be at this mark, or is it
Yeah.
you track it by miles?
Because you're doing 255 half or a full marathon. What's like the breakdown per mile on that?
So
Is it like
yeah,
a 7
ran
minute?
like 2. Well, that was for my first one, but my
Yeah.
second one 2:42, and now I'm gonna try to run like 2:37. I want to try to get the
Yo.
A standard, but that's what I'm training for now.
And when's that? That's in May.
No, I have a race next weekend.
That's
Actually.
right. You're going down to Florida.
Yep. Thank God.
Get a little warmer.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's more of just kind of like a check-in race. I actually don't know how that'll go, but
Is that a full marathon as well?
no, that's a
Good.
15K, so that's a little under 10 miles. So
Gotcha.
like 9
Yeah.
point
Little check-in run.
5, 6, whatever, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, a little brush up.
So yeah, and it's nice because I have a lot of friends like from around the U.S. that are racing it, so it'll be nice
Yeah.
to just check in with them and
Little
see
party
what's up.
Andrea will be making an
A
appearance.
little party Andrea. Yeah. So yeah, and my coach is racing it. I'm gonna
Nice.
call him Tyler. I don't like calling him coach. Tyler and Katie are racing it, and then
Nice.
a lot of the other parts of the pro team up here are racing it. I
Mm.
practice with them sometimes, like I'll do track workouts and stuff. So it's
Okay.
kind of nice getting back to that runners community. But
Yeah.
not to get off tangent, but yeah, the marathon I'm looking at doing like Chicago in October.
Okay.
Other than that, I might do the same one that I did last year because it's a pretty flat, fast course. And that would be really easy to get the A standard on.
And
but
is Chicago's known for middle of the pack in difficulty, or where is that kind of rank?
It's easier than New York. It's easier than Boston. So it's not easy, but it's easier. CIM, I shouldn't say it's easy. It's just flat.
Okay.
It's flatter and just a flatter terrain.
Gotcha.
So,
Nice.
yeah, that's my big goal is to get the A standard before the trials. But the pace for like 2:42, I think I averaged like 6:10, 6:12 per mile.
Oh my
that
God,
was-
that's so good.
Yeah, so it was.
What's your fastest mile?
Dude, I remember running them like in elementary school, and I was killing myself, and I think I got like a 6:15. That was like the best I ever got, and
That's
I was
still
running
pretty
around,
solid.
and I was running around the track 4 times, and just at the time, being like a feeble middle school student, that was like the hardest thing ever.
Mm-hmm. I ran a 5:15 8th grade
Damn.
to try to get into state, and the
In
state
the sprint?
qualifying was 5:12, and I came in like, I think it was like top 3 qualifying. I came in 4th. So
Of course.
yeah. So
Naturally.
and my
Classic.
best friend that I ran with all throughout, who's a year younger than me, ran a 5:10 and came in 3rd. So like,
Dang.
he got the 2 for 1, and I got no for 1.
The no for one.
Yeah, dude. The no-go.
I was happy for him. He still runs today, and he runs at Marquette.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah.
And if he didn't beat you that one day,
He would have
given
given up. Yeah.
Probably would have quit.
Yeah, that's what they
so.
told me. That's what he told me.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
you inspired
I'm just
people.
kidding.
That's amazing, dude. Congrats. But
Love
anyways,
it.
transitioning to trapping the puck. I got one more question.
Okay.
Or the back pocket.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. With all this running,
Oh yeah, go
What-
for it.
with all this running that you do, what's in your back pocket to get through these races? I want to like, is there a habit, an attribute, an emotion, that carries you through these races?
It's a lot of things.
Nice.
So I would say it's more attributes, but then those attributes are connected to stories and memories that I like flash back on. And basically that's what inspires me, or just people per se. So might be kind of a long answer, but
Mhm.
I would say my faith, number one. My mom's always told me to like grab onto my faith and make that my center, and that gets me through anything. Number two, my perseverance and determination are something that have always been strengths of mine. And that's how I had so many injuries in college. Like I had a high, very rare like tibial stress fracture that was almost like a complete just complete fracture. And the orthopedic surgeon said, I remember him looking me in the eye and being like, you're never going to run again if this doesn't heal. And he's like, I'm probably going to have to, he said it with like zero emotion. Like, I'm going to have to pound a nail. Like he even said like the diameter and everything. And I was like, why would you say this to a 22-year-old female who literally like going into one of her last seasons of college? Like,
Yeah.
please don't say that to me. Anyways, so basically said I would never run again. I'd have to be on crutches for 6 to 8 weeks, and basically calling me dunzo. But I took that and I was just like, you know what? Never say never. I'm gonna run again. Like I don't even care if I can't just compete again. I'm gonna run again because I want to run. I love doing this. So basically, it was an attitude thing for me. Just believing every day. So I couldn't do anything for 6 weeks. And then I was on crutches for 6 weeks, and then I had another MRI and another x-ray, and he was like, wow, this healed. And I was like, yeah, gosh, you bet it did. But I still had a stress reaction. So then I moved to like the HydroWorks, which is the underwater treadmill. And I was on that, and then finally I got released to run. So this is like 5 months into like no running.
Wow.
And it was really sad because like I was on the top of my team, like, and they ended up getting runner up at nationals that year. So it was just like, really? But I mean, I'm still super happy for them and everything. But it was just such an emotional time because when you're all into something, especially if you're a Division I athlete, Division III, Division II, it doesn't even matter. You put that much energy and like passion into something, like, and it gets ripped away from you and it's out of your control. You deal with depression, you deal with so much on your plate. And so I literally, that's what's in my back pocket when I think, and there's tons of other memories too.
Mm-hmm.
But like like last Sunday, I was like, I don't want to do this 18-mile long run on a treadmill. Like, Winter, can you go away? And like, even if it wasn't on a treadmill, sometimes just I train alone a lot by myself. And so that can be really hard when I have like a daunting like neurodiagnosis exam on my plate, or like methods exam. That's not a good example. Or like, you know, I've had times where I literally have 3 exams in one day the next day, and I'm like, I have to do a long run today. It's literally depletes my whole energy. But I'm like, you know what? Let's think back to those memories where that girl that literally, she would never take running for granted. You know, like think back to that, or like think back to just like my family. So I just keep my perseverance, my determination, all of those things. Or like I've had tons of PTSD moments where it's like I'm like back on a bicycle, like just or a bike or just swimming, doing laps and laps and laps. Like, I don't want to be here, but I want to be great. Like, I want to recover. I want to overcome. And that's kind of what I was known, the girl on my team. Like, I always overcame all my injuries. Like, my last race, my collegiate career, like, was not what I wanted it to be, but it was bigger than what it could have been. Like, I had a really bad Achilles injury, and I would have never made it to Big 12s, but I did. And then I ended up missing scoring by 1 spot.
Dang.
But after that race, because I overcame that injury and I had the perseverance, the determination, the passion of never giving up and having that positive attitude, so many people came up to me after that race like I had won the race. And I was like, guys, I got 9th, which was still pretty good because I was like limping on my Achilles. And that was a steeplechase, and they're like, Andrea, that was so inspirational. You literally were not even like, because I didn't even cross train. I was like running. I just started running like 4 weeks before that, and they're like, you literally weren't even training. You just went out and did that. And I was like, and that was just my heart carrying me through that. You know, it was just my passion. And so I keep my passion, my perseverance, my determination, my faith all in my back pocket when things get really hard. And so, and like something my brother said last week, he's like, I know you don't want to do this 18-mile run. Like, he texted it to me. I think I posted it on Instagram or something. So I don't know what he said, but he basically said, like, just think of like how many people you impacted with your recent marathon, marathon performance. Like, think of how many people you inspired through that. He's like, this is just another step in that direction towards something you could potentially, like, an opportunity you could potentially open doors to, like, getting the A standard and doing well at the Olympic trials. And so it's like, these tasks in front of me are hard. Like, I have to study for boards. I have to do this, that. And it's just a lot of negative energy gets ground up into my mind. And so just taking a step back and like centering myself and thinking of those memories and sorry, it's a really long answer, but
tremendous answer.
This is sweet.
But just thinking of like where it all came from and just centering myself and just coming back to
gives yourself a little bit of perspective. One thing that Andrew and I are trying to do right now is dominate the sandbox. That's our saying of the month.
I like
but a lot of it, we decided this season to tag our podcast with the top local influencer podcast. And I think a lot of that sometimes gets some negative connotation because you see these like Fire Festival Instagram influencers or something like that.
Yeah.
But what we want to do is kind of redefine what an influencer is. And I think you're a great example of that because, like you said, you battled through like the steeple run, or you battled through this or the next obstacle, all these different opportunities, and you inspired other people, like all the feedback you got and like how great your accomplishments made other people feel. And I think that's really what we're trying to accomplish, and you're crushing it.
Well,
thank you. Like, that's
spot on.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing. You're killing it, dude. And I'm so excited to see you compete now. Because now you're just building it up. I've never seen you run, but I'm like, oh, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. When are your next races? You got one next week in Florida, but are there any like around here?
So I'm trying to. My brother wants me to do the Hot Dash, which is like March 23rd, but right now
is that a 5K?
That's it. I think there's a 5K. There's a 10-mile and there's a half.
Like, is there one race that like we can run a shorter distance, but we can start together?
Yeah,
for the first, like,
just for the Instagram picture.
Yeah,
like,
for the first
just
like
hang with us for
100 yards, and then then we'll just like slowly taper off, and you'll just carry on.
I love it. Maybe the Brian Kraft Memorial 5K.
Okay.
So that's Lake Nokomis. I think I can do that one. So the Hot Dash, I don't know if I'm gonna do, just because my brother was like, I might have a metatarsal stress reaction, and I'm like, great. We were gonna like try to run it together. I don't know. He'd beat me right now, but I don't know. I actually have no idea where my fitness is right now. I'm just kind of like, it's treadmill fitness right now. It's what it is. But but yeah, so maybe that one, but for sure the Brian Kraft is a local one. I'm gonna do either the U.S. Half Marathon Championships or the U.S. 25K. So the U.S. Half is in That one's really hard.
Dude, all these, like, I love the names of all these first off, but second,
very scary.
Very scary. The hot dash. I'm out. I'm not doing that.
It's like a very, like, I think it's by Twin Cities in Motion. It's based off them, and it's just kind of like a very Minnesotan race, like, don't you know, oofta, and all. You betcha, like, you can hold up these signs and take a picture.
Oh,
and,
man.
I don't know. My friend did it once. Tyler did it once, and Katie and I, like, took pictures in the little picture center, whatever you want to call it. So
hot dish.
Yeah.
We should just do one. We should have a Backpocket 5K.
We should.
And we'll call it, like, the average people 5K, and we can just, I don't know how we'd highlight it or how I feel like
everyone shows up in denim.
Everyone shows up in denim.
And we all run a 5K in denim.
Yeah, and like you have stations, and like you have one, like you'll run by like Yam House playing music. You'll run by like a comedy show. You run by all kinds of just different stuff the whole time. I feel like if we threw enough distractions in there, that people could finish the race.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be fun.
Oh yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
We'll workshop that.
Put that one in your back pocket.
But kind of trapping the puck and closing it off with one final question here.
Oh wait, we have one more. Who do you challenge us to get on the show? We love challenges.
You really do?
Yeah. Well, we know you love competing and also challenges, but so do we.
You've already dropped a few names on there that we'll go back and listen to. But
good point.
Any of them that come in
like
particular?
Distinct people.
Can I just drop like 6 names
Just,
right now?
Oh yeah.
Speed
Sam will write
round
down.
Okay. My brother Joel. He was like looking at the questions that you guys gave me. He's like, don't say my name. So I'm just gonna do this for shits and giggles.
Absolutely.
All right, Joel
Toppin.
Yes.
He follows us.
Yes, he does. He's got a man bun. Carly, Nye, and then my friend Brant Weldon. He goes to chiropractic school with us. We call him Brandy. And then if I'm really gonna challenge you guys, maybe like a pro runner. Like they're not gonna come out here, but they're all the way in like Portland, like Evan Jagger.
Evan Jagger.
I think it's Evan Jagger. It's not Evan. Oh wait, it's Evan Jagger. Oh my gosh, maybe.
No, I don't know. I said Jagger.
It's spelled.
You were saying it like you knew him.
Jager.
Jaeger, soft J's, just like jogging.
Yeah.
Why am
It's a
I
new
blanking
trend.
on this? I love him. He's like my
Okay.
professional.
All
steeple
great
chaser.
names.
Yeah.
All people in our repertoire now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get them on. Easy.
But now we'll get to our last question. Simple question. What did you learn today from the moment that you woke up to when we're having this conversation?
That my chairs look a lot better in this room than they do my apartment. So
Yes.
Dude, hell yeah. I love it.
That's phenomenal. We love sitting in them. They're super comfortable. We've sat now in them for 5 hours.
Today alone.
Yeah.
And many more to come.
Yeah.
But Andrea, thank you so much for joining us.
thanks for having me.
West Coast in my heart, right where I'm meant to from the start. It's so much warmer than the secrets you've been holding in. And don't you look at me sideways with those eyes, always acting like you ain't got the time. I can't imagine trying to carry what you hold inside. But ooh, you got a reason to sing. And ooh, you're finally listening. Go back to the start, 'cause you can't hold on to